Hello, and we are live for Junie B. Jones. Martina is so graciously adding for me the next nonfiction to the document.
Oh, I was just a dumb person, and I put that in totally the wrong place.
Oh,
Let me
okay.
try that again, guys.
They're trying again.
Woo! Okay,
Yay.
that's fixed.
Okay, this is May, so we're doing May Junie B. Jones. And we read, we're way far in. We read Junie B. First Grader Cheater Pants. And our nonfiction was Stolen Focus by Johann Hari.
Something like that, yeah.
We are discussing. Fun. I just read the Junie B. Jones, just finished it right now. Should we talk about that one first?
Sure.
Okay. Lizzie said hello and she's cooking. What are we cooking? Okay, I did not read the Junie B, but unfortunately, I look forward to the recap. Did you?
The recap is she cheated. That's
yeah. Facts. I did not, like, just to jump into the Junie B, I had zero recollection of this one. Like, did not, like, even through reading it, wasn't like, this seems familiar.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know either way for me.
It didn't really hit anything nostalgic.
No, it didn't give me the same amount of recognition as like Dan the soda can.
Okay.
But it also didn't give, like, I've never read this before. I couldn't tell. What's my hair doing? I'm sorry.
I think as we've gotten into the first graders, I was even more like, I'm not sure. Like, I feel like I did read them, but the kindergarten were the whole of my nostalgia. Okay. What'd you give this one?
I gave it 3.5 stars.
Okay.
What'd you give it?
I give it 4.
Okay.
Like, for one that I wasn't familiar with, I thought it was good. I would say my only, like, as a concept of the plot is I think, like, a lot of little kids wouldn't even think about cheating, and to present this to them, like, just kind of plants the idea in the first place. Like, I get that the book's trying to teach something, but some of them may have already not had, like, any wandering eyes. So.
Okay. I'm not sure that's true, but I see your point.
Yeah. Okay. I'm still mad that I'm having to read these in Libby now because you can't highlight the
journal entries.
Yeah. So the journal entries were good in this one, but I, of course, don't have them.
Yeah.
Do you have highlights in chapter 1?
I do. Do you?
I do!
Okay.
My first highlight was the attendance sheet is when teachers send the names of the absent children to the office. I do not actually approve of that practice.
That was a good one. My first one is when Lenny says, "Thank you, Junie B. Jones," and she says, "You're welcome, Lenny," whose last name starts with an S, I think.
Right, like, we all know her by her full name.
Yeah. Which, though, that does get into the discussion of, like, there are some people whose names, like, they are full name people. There are specific people that I grew up with that we would call them by their full names. Like, they were a double name person in that way.
I also think, like, I'm not sure everywhere does this, but, like, the common practice of, like, everyone in high school just called all the boys by their last name.
Yeah.
Like, is that not just a regional thing?
Well, I think it depends, because when that first started happening, like, the last name thing was actually in my theater class in middle school, and it wasn't just the boys. We just all went by our last names. So it's a thing sometimes. So the fact that she doesn't know Lenny's last name is a little baffling. But she's definitely, Junie B. Jones is a full
her
person. Yeah. What's interesting to me growing up now is when people who you always said their first and last name together growing up get married and change their last name. And I'm like, that's not right.
I can't think of anybody that I do that for. Like, there's definitely people that, like, I know their nickname, and, like, if I were to even hear, like, their actual name, I'd be like, who? But, like, I know what you're saying exists, but I can't think of anybody off the top of my head.
I'm immediately thinking of several people who
Somebody,
yeah. In my life. Yeah.
Then I think I was just shocked because I didn't know the plot of this. Obviously, it's in the title. When the cheating starts to happen and she's like, she says, my eyes kept on roaming around. And then what do you know? They roamed over to May's desk. And I was just like, oh, I know what's going to happen. And she says, and surprise, surprise, I saw her homework paper sitting there. It was right out in plain view. And you're like, ooh, I know what's about to happen. And then she does it. She copies it. And then at the end, she says, this is so funny to me because Mabel would do this. She says, and I whispered, thank you to May for letting me borrow her homework. Mabel always, like, if you tell her to, like, say please and thank you, like, both my kids say please and thank you very well. But if you say, like, can you say please and thank you? I don't know if you'll know this song, but she sings the please and a thank you, please and a thank you. Those are the magic words you say. She does it all the time. So and I whispered thank you was so funny to me.
My next thing that I highlighted in chapter 1 is an interaction between their teacher and May, because the interactions between those two almost always make me laugh because May thinks she's so good. Yeah. And so she goes, I'm never absent, Mr. Scary. I'm always, always here. Have you ever noticed that? Huh? Have you ever noticed how I'm always here? He closed his eyes for a second. Oh, yes, May, he said. Believe me, I've noticed.
Yeah, right. What's the guy got to do to get a break around here?
And I actually kind of love there being a student in the class who clearly annoys the teacher more than Junie B does.
True. Good observation.
Do you have anything else in chapter 1?
No.
Okay, neither do I.
Okay.
Chapter 2?
I'm just trying to decide if these are relevant. The first thing I highlighted was just the homework prompt.
Okay.
This weekend, one thing I did for fun was, which is just like, yeah, I was like, this might be important later. Oh, this one made me sad. Do you have some in chapter 2?
I do.
You should go.
Okay. The first one I have is another interaction between May and Mr. Scary.
Okay.
He says, now please sit down, okay? May didn't pay attention again. When I was in kindergarten, I got an E+ for following directions, she said.
Yeah. It's revoked.
Revoked.
Okay, do you want my sad one?
Yeah. Oh, I wonder if it's one of the highlights that I have.
That's what I was wondering if you would or not. But talking about the bus. No, not the bus, just at school. About Lucille. Last year, me and her were bestest friends, but this year we're just regular.
Just regular.
Sad.
Oh, this one was just like, why are these children talking like this moment?
Okay.
So May goes back to her seat and Junie B says, welcome back, madam. May did a frown at me. What kind of crack was that? She said.
I must have missed that.
So random. Okay.
I have Roger's homework assignment because, again, just ridiculous stuff that kids say. His was this weekend. One thing I did for fun was I went to get pizza with my dad and I ate a whole entire anchovy and I didn't throw up till I was almost home. Like, ooh, so you threw up in the car.
Yeah.
And you're sharing with the class.
One of my favorite things Junie B says when describing her classmates is, Camille is a sister of Chenille. Those two are twin sets. like a set of twins, but she called them
Yeah.
twin sets. And I was just like, that's
Yeah.
a weird way to say it.
Every time they mention the twins, I'm like, I have favorite twins.
Oh, I had also highlighted Roger's story about the anchovy.
Nice. I'm glad it stood out to both of us.
That's all I had in chapter 2.
Me as well.
I did not have anything in chapter 3.
Oh, I have a couple little things.
Okay. I thought you said you didn't highlight much.
I did. They just weren't like, some of them still aren't just like good quotes.
Okay,
They're more things that were happening. This was just a misspoken word that I love when she does. Jose said that he got brand new soccer shoes this weekend, and he kicked the winning goalie with those things. Oh, and then when the teacher asks why she's not reading off of her paper, her homework paper, and she says, well, let's see. Why aren't I reading? Like, she's trying to figure out what to say.
I also, if she had at all paid attention to what the homework was, it would have honestly been just as fast to write out an answer as to copy May's whole answer.
Right. Yeah. You have nothing in chapter 3?
No.
Okay, because then I'm really surprised you didn't highlight anything about this. When she goes to pretend to read off the paper, she says, I took a deep breath. Then I looked down at my paper and I read it silently to just myself. Okay, done, I said. Like, she just read it in her, like, he's like, read it out loud, and she reads it in her head. That was funny to me. And then the very last thing, no, that's not the last thing. Chapter 3 was good. You were sleeping on chapter 3 because it's in trouble. And she says, just then tears came in my eyes, and I didn't even expect that trouble. I quick hanged my head so he couldn't see. And then this line says, sorry, I said. Sorry you're disappointed. Like, not sorry I did it. Yeah. I'm sorry that you're disappointed in me. Okay. Chapter 4?
I have one thing in chapter 4.
Okay, I'm ready for it.
Okay. This just kind of reminds me about like how my students react when they do something wrong. So she says, that's a rule? I said, no kidding? I always thought that was, well, you know, just a suggestion.
Yeah. Carries on into adulthood. What can you say? That's all you have in chapter 4?
Yeah, that's it.
I literally was like, I didn't highlight that much, and I have so much. When Mr. Scary's asking her about the copying, and he says, so did May actually give you her paper to copy? And she says, I rolled my eyes at that crazy question. No, silly. May would never be that nice. Like, again, just ratting herself out more. Oh, and then when she's saying how her dad cheats at Old Maid and her grandpa cheats on his diet, and she says, no wonder I cheated. Cheating is in my blood, apparently. Okay, that was chapter 4.
Apparently, Lizzie has laughed out loud multiple times, so we're doing our job.
I apparently was having a gooder time than I thought I was while reading this.
Okay, I think I have one for chapter 5.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. She basically says that she has a plan for dealing with the note that Mr. Scary sent home. But then this happens. Then I quick threw the note on the table and I ran to my room as fast as I could. I shut the door real hard. Then I ran around and around in circles because I didn't actually have a plan. That's why. And I'm just imagining her like running in circles around her room.
Where do I go? What do I do? Yeah. Yeah, that leads into my favorite thing, which is the only thing I have one more. The thing I highlighted in chapter 5, she pulls my favorite bit, which is the they get in there to talk to her and she says, "Hello, how are you today?" So I highlighted that because it's my favorite. And then at the end of the chapter, she says, "Because grown-ups never do anything wrong, it seems, not even when they do." And that hit because grown-ups do stuff wrong.
Yeah.
Chapter 6.
I have some things in chapter 6.
I'm ready for them.
Okay, so the first one is this. Herb looked at me and shrugged. You copied May's homework when she went to the office, he said. I did a gasp at that boy, because how did he know that private information? I scratched my head. But how did you even... Herb interrupted me. I saw you, he said. Lenny and Jose saw you too. You're a terrible sneak, Junie B. Really terrible, I mean. I did a little frown. That was not a compliment, possibly.
Yeah. I highlighted that as well. Like, just you were so obvious, like, we all know. Yeah. And she thinks she's so sneaky. Okay, then we're writing poems.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this was just a funny... Again, like, why are little kids talking like this?
Mm-hmm.
Lenny says, I know, we could write about how all of us shampoo our hair to keep it healthy and shiny. All of us do that, right? After that, me and Jose and Herb just looked and looked at him. Because sometimes Lenny is off the deep end. That's why.
I have one that has like a similar vibe. I forget who's talking right now, but he says, hey, I know, since Mr. Scary wrote a pickle poem, why don't we write one about an olive? He leaned back in his chair and did a happy thumbs up. No one did a thumbs up back, because what kind of dumb idea was that?
Cruel.
Oh. Okay, that was all I had for chapter 6.
Me also. Chapter 7, I highlighted Lucille's poem just because she's so full of herself, but it's not actually funny.
I did too.
Okay, me, Richie Lucille, shopping, buying, spending. Everyone's jealous of myself. That one really got me.
Princess.
Everyone's jealous of myself. Like, Lucille's going to be a terrible teenager.
Yeah. Okay, I could not highlight their poem. I had to leave a note to myself that I took a screenshot because it was written like as a journal entry, so I couldn't highlight it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm gonna read it to you, and then Lizzie, you'll want to take a break and look at your screen because I'm gonna show the illustration that goes with it. It's just really heartwarming. So they decided not to write about shampoo or olives. Instead, they wrote about being friends. So here's their poem. Pallies, chummy, happy, joking, gelling, sharing, 4 amigos all together, friendship.
Yeah, I did think it was cute too.
I love that.
They're just pallies.
They're just pallies. I love her first grade friends. That was my only thing in
chapter 8 during the spelling bee.
Yeah.
Just your spelling wood wrong.
Oh.
And then what's his name leaning over for her to cheat on purpose again.
Herb. Yeah.
In chapter 8, I don't have anything else.
Yeah, the way that she described that though is so funny because she can't remember how to spell this word, Lizzie. Yeah. And so her friend like shows her the paper, and she says, as soon as I saw the word, my imagination got sparked, and I remembered the letter perfectly good.
Right, like once I saw it.
I knew it immediately. Right. That was my only thing in chapter 8.
Yeah, I don't have anything in chapter 9 either, but I know that the poem about Junie B from the teacher at the end.
Yes, I took a screenshot of it.
Thank you.
Okay. So basically, she cheats again. She gets in trouble, yada, yada. We learn cheating is wrong. Anyway, Mr. Scary writes a poem about Junie B.
Because they admit to cheating. So she was...
Yeah. So he's proud that they admit to cheating. So, yeah. His poem goes, Junie B. Bubbly, bouncy, learning, growing, glowing. Your honesty is awesome. Trust it. I thought that was giving very me writing 50 haikus at the end of Wonderful.
I honestly, as soon as poems came up, I was like, I don't know if Martine wants to talk about poems right now.
Listen, gotta spark my imagination.
I thought about too if I wouldn't have finished this, 2 minutes before. I was like, I should try to write one of these poems, but I didn't have time for that.
Yeah. I had actually completely forgotten about the poetry aspect of this because I read this like a minute ago.
Oh, good for you.
But yeah, I really enjoyed the poem assignment in this. Like, it really elevated it, I think. Because if it was just a story about cheating, like, it wasn't that interesting. Yeah. The poems were fun to me.
Yeah. I liked this one.
Yeah. So that was our Junie B.
Junie B.
Should we switch to our nonfiction? I'm a little bummed because I'm pretty sure Ruby read this too, but
oh, weird. Yeah, she did, and she kept bringing it up.
She brought it up a lot, so
yeah. I think like conceptually, I don't need to probably talk about like highlights through this. No. We can just talk about it as a concept.
Yes, that's how I'm going to talk about the nonfiction anyway.
Yeah, Stolen Focus by Johann.
We can't focus.
We discovered that this author has been in question, but just I knew he was a journalist, which isn't always like a big glaring like this is gonna be the most research thing. It's like he wasn't doing the experiments himself is what I'm trying to say.
Okay, the way you originally phrased it was like some journalists are going to come murder you in your sleep now.
I'm sorry.
I get what you're saying though, and
he like not.
I don't remember any of his specific facts. So if he made them up,
right.
Conceptually, he wasn't telling me anything I didn't know.
Yeah, I liked the book, and I think it was something that I needed to hear, but I don't know that like anything he did. Like, I think I could have looked into the concept in any other way.
Mm-hmm. What did you rate it?
I think I gave it like a 3.5.
Oh, I gave it 4 stars.
I mean,
I'm rating it.
Sorry, I've apparently had a lot of spreadsheets open. I give it a Where am I? Oh no, that's the wrong book. Yeah, I gave it 3.5.
Okay.
I do think like I notice so much like phone addiction in myself and people around me that it's like to me it's the concept of like people who know something is an issue or are already interested in something or who's going to consume the stuff about it. So to me it's giving like people who really need to learn this information are never going to care or think that they have a problem.
Yeah, Lizzie kind of just says that in her.
Oh, sorry. I haven't been clicking on. Sometimes I forget I'm the host.
Yeah, it's on you. I went to click it a minute ago and I was like, wait, I
thought it was good and that a lot of stuff needed to be said. Okay, yeah, exactly. It is really scary to think of like we're only like descending into worse attention and the concept of like will today's youth even be able to focus to read a book or I don't know.
Yeah, this came at an ironic time for me because I read it when I was getting frustrated with the fact that I would read 10 minutes of a book and then need a break and then go back to 10 minutes of reading. And so I was trying to do a longer reading sprint and I opened up the book and it was the chapter about reading books. And I was like, I need you to not do this to me.
There were a couple times when I was reading this too that I would pop into like trying to read for tonight, like can't focus, reading Stolen Focus where it is just like ironic, like.
Yeah.
It's really scary seeing the state of the youth's attention. I just think like the concept too of like having a bored brain, because even like I'm someone I can't even sit and like watch TV without like also playing a game or also messing in my planner or like I just want constant, or like when I'm doing work at my desk, I am listening to an audiobook or podcast, or like just always having busy brain.
Yeah.
Um yeah. I do always find the concept of anybody talking about like completely unplugging for a period of time. But it seemed to me like he did it and then was like, "But I gave that up. It wasn't like I did it and then I'm done with it."
I also think he like did a good job of pointing out like that was an eye-opening experience. Also, nobody can usually do that. Like
Yeah.
that was an intense privilege that I
Right.
had, and I was like, at least you said it, you know, because if you had just been like, so run away and never
Yeah.
look at a phone again, I would have closed the book.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of more like exact points that he made. Maybe I should look at my highlights.
I mean, he talked about the different reasons why we're losing focus, like what is stealing our focus,
Mm-hmm.
which I thought was interesting.
Oh, and he talked about like your brain being a muscle and like trying to focus on something for 10 minutes and then like expanding that to 15 minutes, and like you should be able to like grow
Mhm.
your attention span, which again is like, yeah, makes obvious sense, like seems so obvious, but I think some people could use the reminder
Yeah.
of like try to do it for 5 minutes and then
Yeah. I also like I it's hard to know if like kids nowadays are growing up in a world where they never get the chance to learn that skill versus like we're unlearning the skill of focus, but
mm-hmm.
they're living in a world that's never given them a chance to do that, I feel like, which is weird and hard and scary.
Oh, he talked about sleep in this a little bit too.
Uh-huh.
Shout out to having kids. um and also caffeine a lot, which I'm currently, what's today? The 6th? 6 days, no coffee. That's crazy. That's crazy. But like I know that I struggle with that, and like
Did you
he
even see
really
the
talked about
confetti
like
that I just gave you?
huh?
Did you see the confetti I just gave you?
No, I missed it.
I think you looked away at the
Yeah.
right when I
Thank you for my confetti.
you.
I did appreciate the discussion of intentionality
Good job.
within the tech industry, and that like putting the
Onus.
thank you.
Responsibility. Putting the responsibility, saying an individual has to make the change is not the right way to go about it.
Not the right way to go about it. Like I just remember him talking about like, should Facebook be responsible for, or like how TikTok does the reminders of like, hey, you've been scrolling for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And how that's actually like terrible business model for them, but
Yeah.
I don't expect that of companies, or like, no, I don't necessarily think it's their responsibility.
Right. But I think the point is also though that like it's all these big tech people were saying like, well, you can just make the decision not to fall for it. And I was like, you spend all day explicitly hacking my brain.
Right.
This is not like a willpower only situation.
Right.
Like willpower is nice and all, but sometimes like you literally pulled out all the stops to make sure I don't look away. So
I do find any talk always about like algorithms so interesting, just because they seem so good lately, and like that you really do get like such targeted ads.
yeah. I was watching Disney Plus the other day. I got a little Sleepy's ad, and I was like, "You're so right for that."
The quote about Americans who read books for pleasure, like plummeting, is interesting to me too, as we are people who read books for pleasure. And I feel like there was a little spike with like book talk that it like got popular for a minute, and I feel like it's going away already.
What
I
year
feel like
was
book talk has died.
okay, bold
Do
claims.
you?
Um
I said, do you feel like I feel like it really spiked, and I like see less and less now.
Interesting. I feel like I maybe I know that I don't see it much because I don't scroll on TikTok,
Right.
but
Can't
like
relate.
I I mean I watch like YouTube shorts and stuff,
Yeah.
and I do see lots of bookish content there. But um I don't know. I mean, book content in general is it's hard for that to be sustainable, as booktube has shown across the many
Yeah.
years. But it would be interesting because he like this was published in 2022, which means that like his stats had to come from a little before
Oh,
that,
yeah.
and I feel like
Was
he
after.
right, like the spike was after he
Yeah.
would have turned in his edits, and so I was like, you look kind of silly right now because I do think it came back. Although then I've seen so many of those like long video essays popping up about like the rise of anti-intellectualism on book talk and all of that. So there's still a huge debate about
See those.
all of that.
This is important to me as a parent, and I try to be mindful of. Um, I just highlighted a quote that was, I don't know who's he's actually talking about at this point. But when I think of it, I think about like me to my kids, um, giving the message that whatever's on your phone is more important than what they're saying or doing or trying to get your attention from. Like this stupid thing doesn't matter. But it's hard because when your notifications go, you want to open it and look at it and stare at it for infinity.
Yeah, it's also interesting to me though, like we're saying all this stuff about like the youth, but I'm also thinking about how people in like my parents' generations have responded to the rise in technology and the fact that like I will be up looking at the world and I'll look back and like my parent has stopped on the sidewalk several meters away and they're looking at their phone and I'm like, "Hi, are you here?" Because like in some ways I grew up in a world where I was more used to that.
Mm-hmm.
And
I feel like my parents are very like my mom is pretty tech savvy and my dad like can't work his cell phone. Like
fair enough.
I am reading through my highlights, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I got that.
I don't think I have anything else like of note.
Okay.
I liked it, and I think the concept like I would like to know more. To me, it's like I'm always trying to like habit form, and I would like to do all these things, but the action steps never happen.
Yeah.
I think that we as people who do read for pleasure and like do reading sprints have a pretty good understanding of the concept of like I want to sit down and focus to do this thing for a stretch of time.
Mhm.
Not to say like I'm not the problem and other people are worse, but like I know a lot of people in my life who would say when I talk about reading like, "Oh, I can't focus on that," or like, "Oh, I can't sit down for 10 minutes." Where I'm like, "I don't feel like I'm that bad."
Mhm.
And they
Yeah.
talk about ADHD in this, and especially with kids. I know somebody pretty closely who is like just now getting diagnosed and treated and medicated, so that was very interesting to me, but
Mhm. Yeah, I think my ability to focus really depends on the context. So like
what's the thing of like something you're interested in or
Not even that sometimes. Like, I'll be doing my work and yeah, I guess my work is interesting, but most people don't want to do their work all the time, right? So like I won't want to start my work and then I'll start my work and I'll look up and it's oops, been 2 hours. I can't
Mm.
think about anything else.
I feel like I just said a similar concept today that I'm like someone where like if I'm not doing my things I just want to stay not doing, but once I get started, then I like easily keep going.
Yeah.
I'm like a do nothing or do everything type day person. Yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like I've been working on my focus recently, and maybe that's why I've been less active in the Discord recently,
Mhm.
is because I'll realize like, oh, it's been several hours I haven't checked the Discord. I was
Yeah.
doing my own thing.
Yeah.
I do love a flow state though.
Yeah, mine depends. I feel like I'm just spewing more thoughts. That's my struggle with motherhood is that I really enjoy a flow state and children are the top tier interrupter.
Incompatible with flow state.
Right.
Yeah.
Um, again, like all concepts that make sense.
Yeah. I
I
will
like
say the thing,
this was a good pick to read.
yeah, the thing I'll say about flow states is like I like the feeling of like how much I get done in them and how it feels to focus, but then I do look up and I realize I haven't had any water in the past 2
Mhm.
hours and I feel like crap physically. So it's
You almost need to do it on purpose and like plan your breaks also, but it never works that way.
oh, nope.
It's
So,
always an accident. Oh well.
yep. Oh well.
Okay. Well, next month we're reading 3 Junie B. Jones. I'll tell you
Mhm.
what they are in a second. Now that we have a updated July. What did I do here?
June.
June. It is June. I'm like, this isn't right. Uh all Junie B first graders, one man band, shipwrecked, and boo and I mean it. Which
I also
Halloween in June is gonna be silly.
yeah, but I will say that puts our Christmas book in July, Christmas in July situation,
Oh.
which is very
Yes.
cute.
Um, and we are doing Why We Sleep in July as
Yeah.
the nonfiction. And then I put maybe a nonfic in August to do 2 months in a row, but we'll see.
Yeah. We'll see.
We'll see. Okay, that's the plan.
Yeah.
Good fun time.
Junie B. Junie
Oh,
B.
honest. What's trusted. Okay, let's do that.
Wait,
I'm gonna go
wait,
to dinner.
I
What?
can read you the poem again.
Oh, thank you.
Junie B. Bubbly, bouncy, learning, growing, glowing. Your honesty is awesome. Trusted.
Iconic. Okay. Well, thanks for discussing children's stories with me again. This was a
Always.
good discussion, and I love you so much. And we'll see you guys next month. Good luck with your dinner. I'm gonna
Dinner.